We are so fortunate to have this gorgeous weather today. All right, so since everybody's standing at the top of the mat, let's start there. And then just, I don't know how experienced you are with yoga, but at any point in this practice, if you need a moment for breath, standing right here in mountain pose at the top of your mat is a great place to do that. And we'll take you to child's pose in a little bit, and that's another great place to just pause and be, because we're all going to be at a different level of what we're doing in here, and really it's just to, for me and everybody else, I hope to enjoy and laugh a little bit or challenge ourselves or whatever we're going to do. So let's bring hands to heart center and kind of come to our breath. Let's inhale together and exhale together. Do that again. Nice deep full inhale and exhale. On this inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale to heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms up. On this exhale, bend the knees as generously as you might like and fold forward. Maybe a little bend in the knees, maybe a lot of bend in the knees. Let your head hang heavy so your gaze is back between your shins, and just nod your head around. Let's bend the knees even more, round it up one vertebra at a time. When you get to the top, reach the arms up overhead. Maybe your gaze is ready to shift up as well. Exhale, hands past heart center. Let's take that forward fold again. Nice bent knees or straightening out as you wish. Drop the hips even more, round it up one vertebra at a time as you come back up to standing. Reach the arms up overhead. Exhale and fold forward. This time, let's take a half lift. Place the hands on the shins, bring your chest upright, pull the belly in, and then place your palms on the ground. Step back to plank, or you might step back to a knee plank. Either plank on the toes or plank on the knees. And then everybody release knees down to the ground, toes flat, and push back into child's pose. Hips towards heels, arms stretching overhead. Come forward into your plank, whether that's on your knees or on your toes. And if you're on your knees, curl your toes so you can come into downward facing dog. That's hips high in the air. You might need to step forward a little bit. Yes. Gaze shifts back between your legs. Take another breath here. On your next inhale, look towards your hands. Walk or step your feet between your hands. Let the hips stay really bent and then round it up one vertebra at a time as you come up to standing. Reach the arms up overhead. Take a side bend to the right. Reach the arms back up overhead. Take a side bend to the left. This sunshine's making me so happy, I can't. Hands back up overhead, forward fold. Knees can bend every time just as generously as you like. Inhale, come halfway up, hands to the shins, pull the shoulder blades together, flat back, and then palm the mat, step back to the top of your push-up or to your knee push-up. On another exhale, we're gonna lower all the way down to the ground, elbows working towards being in towards the ribs. Keep your hands where they are. Inhale as you lift the chest, opening into a cobra. And then on your exhale, push back to child's pose. Hips back towards the heels. Walk your hands over to the right, finding a side stretch in your child's pose. Come back through center, find a side stretch the other direction. Come back to center in your child's pose, and remember, this is a pose for a reason. You're still getting good yoga here when you focus on your breath, and at any time you might come back to this posture. Come forward so that you can curl your toes, downward facing dog, hips coming high. On an inhale, reach the right leg up into the sky. That's a three-legged dog. And then step to the top of the mat, runner's lunge. So if you don't quite make it, maybe heel toe your way all the way up there, runner's lunge. Plant the left hand and twist open to the right. Release your hand back down to the ground, and let's play around with a little bind here, holding underneath the thigh. Maybe you can hold the elbows, but a long spine. We're gonna unwind from here to Warrior Two. So come up and then turn open into Warrior Two. Front knee bent, knee tracking toward the pinky toe side. Reach through the arms. Windmill the hands down either side of your front foot and step back to the top of your push-up and right to downward facing dog, bringing the hips nice and high. On an inhale, lift the left leg into the sky. Step forward with the left leg into your runner's lunge. Plant the right hand, twist open to the left. Release your hand down to the ground, and then find that bind on this side where we're holding opposite elbows, maybe underneath the thigh, but then lengthen the spine. Yeah.
That feels so good.
Good. We're unwinding to our Warrior Two. We'll come upright and open up the arms, drop the back heel. Yes. Now track that front knee towards the pinky toe. Tall spine, deep breath. Release, hands down to the ground. Step back to your plank. Go to child's pose or take a vinyasa, lowering down, inhaling to open the chest, and then returning to downward facing dog. So if you've been in child's pose, just come forward to down dog. From your down dog, look to the top of the mat. Walk feet between hands. Keep those knees bent nice and generously. And then round it up one vertebra at a time. Come up to standing. Reach up overhead. Hands to heart center. Inhale. Reach the arms up overhead. Keep the hands apart. And then sit down into your chair pose. Sitting the hips down. Reaching the arms up. Pulling the belly in as well as we can. Hands to heart center. We're taking a twist to the right, so your hips might sink more as you maybe bring the elbow towards the opposite knee. Good. Back to center, and then twist the other direction. Back to center, and fold forward over your legs. Take a half lift, hands come to the shins, pull the belly in, and then palm the mat. If you know your vinyasa, take your vinyasa from here to down dog. Otherwise, with me, we'll step back to the top of the push-up, drop the knees, and press back to child's pose. Let's join everybody in down dog, coming forward onto hands and knees, curl the toes, hips high, downward facing dog. On an inhale, bring the right leg up, three-legged dog. Step to the top of the mat. We're headed back to that runner's lunge twist. Left hand down, right arm reaches open to the sky. There you go, perfect. And then we're gonna see if we can find that bind again. Really look forward, really lengthen the spine, pull the belly away from the thigh, even though it's touching the thigh. Pull it up there anyway. Release, open up to your warrior two, spin that back heel down. Okay, listen up. We're gonna take a half sumo to the back of the mat. So we'll straighten that right leg and turn the feet so that we can do a half sumo. It's like maybe a half squat back here. Transition that half sumo to the top of the mat. And then take it to the back again. Open back up into your warrior two from there towards the top of the mat. And then turn around facing the top of the mat, back heel up, high lunge. Reach the arms up overhead, pull the belly in. Ooh, I'm about to fall over. We're gonna find a twist in our lunge, hands to heart center. Maybe you can touch the outside of the thigh. We'll be getting a little playful from here later on. But for this round, let's come back to high lunge, reach the arms up overhead, and then release your hands down to the ground. Step back to child's pose or take your vinyasa from here. Allowing yourself to take the breath or the work that you wish to do today. Let's all meet in downward facing dog for the other side. Left leg high, step to the top of the mat. We're headed into that runner's lunge. So the right hand is down. Now if you're not all the way down on the ground, you're here in your lunge, and maybe you could be anywhere on the body. And we're gonna come back to our runner's lunge with that bind underneath the leg. So if you're not all the way down, you might bind at the wrist. Instead, you can still pull the belly in, you can still lengthen the spine. We'll unwind and open up to that warrior two and get back into our thighs on this side as we transition to a half sumo towards the back of the mat. Half sumo, half squat, however you like to say that. Nice, nice. Come upright, half sumo to the top of the mat, moving those toes mindfully, and then to the back of the mat one more time. We're gonna open back up to our warrior two towards the top of the mat. The left knee will be bent. And then turn yourself forward into your high lunge. Reach the arms up overhead. Find that stretch first, right? Hands to heart center. Let's twist this lunge. Maybe coming to the elbow. You might stay more upright. That's up to you. Unwind. Reach the arms up overhead. And then plant the hands, push back to your child's pose, or take your vinyasa. The vinyasa is lowering to the ground, opening the chest as you inhale, and then coming to downward facing dog. From this down dog, let's look to the top of the mat and walk our feet between our hands. Drop the knees generously, round it up, come up to sitting, reach the arms up overhead. Let's take another one of those side bends to the right, back to center, side bend the other direction, back to center, hands to heart center as you sit down into your chair. Some of us are gonna get playful in this chair, and some of us are gonna stay right here in chair, standing up when we need to take a break, or coming into a twist to the right. Look down at your elbow and your knee. Maybe they're connected, and maybe you can get really light on the left foot and pull the toes up towards your heel so you're balanced on just the right foot. Maybe even sweeping it back to like a warrior three leg, not a standing split leg. We got to come back to center and try that on the other side. And if you've been in chair, you might need to release and come up and then sink back into your chair, while some of us play with that twist to the left. Finding the bind first, and then lightness on the right foot, maybe first bending the knee and then possibly reaching it straight back. That left knee is still quite bent. We'll come back to center, all of us, and fold forward. Come halfway up, pull the shoulder blades together, And then palm the mat to take a vinyasa, or drop the knees and come into a cat-cow, opening the spine here and then rounding. Lots of different options. And we'll meet back in our downward facing dog. Here we go. Right leg comes to the sky for three-legged. Step to the top of the mat. Find your runner's lunge, twisting open to the right. Left leg is forward. Right leg is forward. Find your bind here, holding onto your elbows. And then let's play around with this. Maybe you glue your chest to your thigh as you come forward into a toppling tree, bringing the back leg off the ground. Or we're staying right here, yeah? Somewhere here. Or we're playing, nice balance work, y'all. Okay, you gotta land that softly, unwind, and then open up to your warrior two. Either half sumo to the back of the mat or all the way down into Skandasana. Y'all know what you're doing if you're headed there. Take that to the top of the mat. Take it to the back of the mat. Come back to your warrior two. Open up, right leg is forward. Lift the back heel as you turn into your high lunge. And twist in your high lunge, hands at heart center. If you're staying upright in your twist here, or bringing the elbow here. Come back to center. This time we're gonna step forward into our chair. So it might look like a lot of little steps or one big step as you sit down into your chair. Twist to the right. Finding that little balance move if you wish, staying in your twist if you don't wish. Come out in your own time and take that to the other side, or you might be right here or right here finding your breath. I know it's hard, I know. We'll all meet back in Tadasana, so when you come out of your twisted bird-like chairs, come up to Tadasana in your own time. We have another side to do. As we're ready, reach the arms up overhead. Fold forward. Half lift. Palm the mat. Step back. You might find that cat-cow or take your vinyasa. This is our cat-cow if you're staying with me. And we'll meet in downward facing dog for the left side. Bring the left leg into the air. Step to the top of the mat. Runner's lunge, first twisting open to the left. And then as you come out, find your bind at the elbows or wrist. Really glue your ribs to your thigh and play around with bringing that back leg up, right? Or we might be staying right here. Beautiful job. We're gonna release that back leg and then unwind and open up to warrior two. Left leg is forward. Skandasana or half sumo, back of the mat. Nice, take that to the top. And again to the back. Open up into your warrior two, left leg is forward. Pop your heel up, come into your lunge. Take your twist to the left. Come back to center, our hands can stay at heart center. Let's step forward into our chair, sink it down. And then stand straight Tadasana. Inhale the arms up. I know, we're gonna move right away again. Fold forward. Come halfway lift. Palm the mat, step back. Vinyasa here, or take that cat-cow or child's pose. And we'll meet in downward facing dog. Right leg to the sky, bend and stack, open up to the side this time. On an exhale, hug that knee in towards your nose, towards your ribs. Inhale, reach it back up to the sky. Now step to the top of the mat. twist that lunge open to the right. Good. Find your bind, holding elbows or maybe prayer hands behind the calf. You could play around with that. Come forward, find that funky little balance if you choose to, or stay in your twist. Land softly, open up into your warrior two. Skandasana or half sumo back. Skandasana or half sumo forward. One more time to the back. Warrior two, stay here. Peaceful warrior, flip the front palm, reach that arm up and overhead. Straighten out that front leg and bring both hands to your hips. Turn your feet so the outside edges are parallel. Take a nice deep inhale, open up the chest, and then as you exhale, soften the knees as you need to. We're coming into our wide leg fold, hands down to the ground. And allow yourself a couple of breaths here, trying to work on stretching and opening. On an inhale, we'll begin to flatten the spine, come part way up, and we're going to walk our hands to the top of the mat, inside of our front foot into lizard. So there's a lot of lizard options. We can drop that back knee, staying on our hands. We can come down to the elbows, or we can also play around with reaching our fingertips way beyond our mat and reaching forward. Yes, that's it. Hip opening, right? Yeah. All right, we're gonna take that front leg, sweep it back, find child's pose as we bring knees together. Find your breath. Come forward to downward facing dog. We'll move through that on the other side. Lift the left leg high, and then we're gonna bend and stack, open the leg to the side. On another exhale, hug the knee in towards the chest, towards the nose. Inhale, lengthen it back out to the sky. Step to the top of the mat. We're finding our twist here. Open up to the left. Find your bind or hand placement of choice underneath your thigh, behind your calf. Come forward into that little balance motion if you would like to. Everybody should land as softly as possible, and then open up into your warrior two. Left leg is at the top. Skandasana or half sumo, back of the mat. Front of the mat. Everybody getting good thigh work? Yeah. Back of the mat. Warrior two, open up towards the top of the mat. Peaceful warrior, flip the front palm. Reach the arm overhead. Just that'll change our balance, won't it? Straighten the front leg, both hands to the hips, turn the feet. Let's make sure those feet are parallel. Open the chest to the sky, and then fold forward, sinking into our wide leg fold. Any hand placement you might choose, giving yourself some support somewhere. Begin to lengthen the spine, and then walk your hands to the top of the mat. Make sure you're moving those feet really mindfully. Drop the back knee. Hands are inside the left foot, and then you might stay here, or elbows, or Betsy and I reached out past our mat last time. That might be something you can take next time if you choose. Ooh. Walk your hands wherever they might need to be so that you can sweep that front leg back. Listen up. In our child's pose this time, let's open the knees really as wide as the mat, and then sink back, opening our hips a little bit in this child's pose. come forward, curl the toes, downward facing dog, just for a moment, and then walk or step to the top of the mat. Bend the knees generously, round it up one vertebra at a time, come up to standing, reach the arms up overhead first, maybe a little back bend here, and then hands to heart center. Okay, we're gonna take a little bit of balance challenge, or not, right? We're all at our own space in our practice. We'll be doing this from our chair, twist, and instead of lifting that left foot, which I know you're used to doing, we're gonna come up onto the toes on the right foot. Maybe this is where we're gonna stay, or you'll start to lift everything together, trying to keep elbow and knee glued together. Oh yeah, it's hard, huh? We gotta come back, soft landing. And then now take that left foot back. You thought you weren't gonna have to do that this round. When you come back to center, we'll come out of our chair. We'll all come out of our chair, standing straight. Give ourselves a moment so that we can sink down into our chair again and try that on the other side. So we're twisting to the left, coming up onto our left toes. I like to get myself part way up there like that before I stand all the way up into my twisted balance. And then release the left foot and possibly pick up the right foot. Or maybe you've stayed in your twist, or maybe you came out right now. We'll all come out back to our mountain pose. Hips saying hello, right? Yeah, just a little wiggle out. Okay. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Fold forward. Let's take that half lift, hands to the shins, tall spine. Palm the mat, take your vinyasa or step back to your plank, and then find child's pose or drop the knees and take a few cat-cow movements. Downward facing dog. Right leg to the sky, bend and stack, open up. Some of you are gonna take a flip dog or wild thing. Some of us are gonna stay right here. I like to stay and watch y'all. Yeah, that was graceful, right? Come back to center, and then when you're ready, hug your knee in towards your chest. Reach that right leg back to the sky. Step to the top of the mat. Keeping this the same so we're not wondering what's happening. We're going to twist open to the right. Find a bind under your thigh. Either lengthen the spine and reach, or come into your balance here. You decide what you need to do at this particular moment in your practice. Beautiful job, everyone. Land softly, and as you're ready, open up into your warrior two. Skandasana back. Or half sumo. Same thing front. Take it to the back again. Warrior two. Peaceful warrior, flip the front palm. Curl around as you come into your high lunge. We're skipping our forward fold. Instead, we're coming into our high lunge. We're going to bring hands to heart center and twist to the right, hopefully hooking on the elbow. Don't do this if you're not hooking. I'll come back to something else. Maybe you're going to come forward, lots of little hops or not, into that same posture we did out of chair where we lift that back leg. And then we're going to land in a twisted chair, left leg forward. If you didn't have all that connected, then we're going to turn back around, step forward, chair, hands at heart center, eventually, right? I didn't take you out of that. Fold forward. Come halfway up in your lift. Step back to take your vinyasa. Go right to down dog, child's pose, or cat-cow. Prepping for the other side, come into your downward facing dog. Left leg comes high, bend and stack. Stay right there and enjoy the stretch, or take a flip dog or wild thing. I really love watching y'all do that.
Come back to center, and when you're ready, hug your knee in towards your chest, towards your nose. Yes, good job. Lengthen it back out to the sky. Step to the top of the mat for your lunge. Twist open to the left. Bind and lengthen, or bind and balance. Once you've had your good breath and balance and you're ready to land softly, we'll open up into Warrior Two. Squat back of the mat. Either squat you're doing. Squat top of the mat. To the back again. Warrior Two, top of the mat. Peaceful Warrior, flipping the front palm. We're coming out of that to unwind into our high lunge. And then twisting to the left. Maybe you're gonna stay upright, or maybe hook the elbow and come into your balance here. So you can either do the balance. Eventually, with control, we'll land in chair twist or in chair. Find that twist and then come to center. Straighten out as you're ready. I could shed another layer. Oh, Betsy has. I'm like, I feel like I could shed another layer. I have to get a drink.
Yeah. Come back to your breath. Take nice deep breaths of this refreshing outside air today. And let us play around with our twisted chair to standing postures. Reach the arms up overhead, sit down into your chair. Remember, if you're not doing these balances, no problem. You can come in and out of your chair. We'll take a twist to the right first. Bring the right leg up with you. Listen up. We're gonna really lengthen up and then take ourselves to dancing Shiva from here. That might mean the left hand is coming to the knee and you're twisting open, or you might find the foot. That's up to you, right? How deep you go into that. But we're gonna try to come out the same way we came in. Oh, as we sit back down in chair. I'm gonna give us an option on the other side. Come back to center and stand up. We gotta get out of that. All right, so I hope you know what to do on the other side. We'll reach the arms up, we'll sit down in our chair. Take your twist to the left. The left leg is gonna come up, find that balance first, and then dancing Shiva. If you didn't do any of that nonsense, right? Then come back to center. And then as you stand up straight, let's just bring the left leg up with us and work on this balance. That's enough, isn't it? All right, y'all, come out the same way you came in, and we will meet you in standing and breathing. Look, they're all relieved to get to standing. All right. Okay, I hope that was fun. Let's take a nice inhale together and exhale together. We have time to flow again, so reach the arms up overhead and fold forward. We're half lifting, long spine. Palm the mat to take your vinyasa, or any of the other options that I have been mentioning will all meet up eventually in our down dog. Yes. From downward facing dog, raise the right leg into the sky. Bring the knee to the right armpit if possible, right? We're just gonna head in that direction. Reach it back up to the sky. To the left armpit if possible. That direction-ish. Reach back up to the sky. Step to the top of the mat. Twist open to the right. Find your bind and take your fun little balance. Really deepen the bend in your front knee, but think about really reaching that back foot to the sky even more. Now pull the belly away from that front thigh and land softly. We'll all open up into Warrior Two. Half squat back and forward.
and back, and warrior two. Right foot is forward. Peaceful warrior, flip the front palm. We're gonna head into extended side angle, forearm to the thigh, and the other arm can reach up and overhead, palm towards the ground. Come back upright, straighten the front leg, turn the feet, wide leg fold. Hand placement of your choice to give yourself support. Soften your knees a little so they're not hyperextending. Lengthen your spine as you come part way up. We're walking to the top of the mat into lizard. That's inside the right foot. You can drop the back knee or keep it up. That's up to you. Hands can stay on the ground or reach forward onto your fingertips as far out in front of you as you can, and then drop your gaze toward that right toe so that you're not cranking the neck. Right? Or we might stay right here. This one makes me really get into that. Ooh. Wherever you're at, we're gonna walk the hands back, surround our front foot, curl the back toes, runner's lunge to high lunge. So we gotta bring the arms up, maybe straight overhead, or maybe they'll stay at heart center, whatever's best for you at this moment. Now we will bring hands to heart center, twist to the right, finding that bind at the elbow or not. We're going to step forward from here. If you're not binding here, then you can stay upright. Otherwise, we'll play around with finding that balance, keeping the left leg up. But listen up as you come to standing. If you're not doing this bind, just come to standing at the top of the mat. If you are doing the bind, keep that left leg up as you come up. And now take your dancing Shiva to the left. Okay? Or we came to Tadasana, hands to heart center, and we'll just lift that left leg. I say just, but I'm working very hard to keep my balance as well. When you release your foot to the ground, fold forward. Take a half lift. We only have one more side. Palm the mat and step back for your vinyasa or movements of choice before coming to down dog. From down dog, we're gonna work your core first in the down dog with the left leg to the sky. And then knee to the same arm, maybe to the armpit, just somewhere forward. Reach it back up to the sky. Cross the body, knee is aiming towards that right armpit. Back up to the sky. And now step forward for your lunge twist. Open up to the left. Find your bind, take your balance, or stay right here in your lunge and bind. My balancers eventually will land really softly and into their warrior two, all of us. Yes. I knew you guys were gonna land softly. Half squat to the back of the mat. And the front. And the back. Warrior two, left leg is forward. Flip the front palm, peaceful warrior. Extended side angle, forearm coming to the thigh. Other arm reaching overhead, nice. Pull the belly in. And then use the strength of your core to help you come upright, turn the foot. We're headed into our wide leg fold again. On an inhale, lengthen the spine, walk our hands to the inside of the left foot, drop the back knee or don't. This is your lizard stretch, so if you want to keep the knee off the ground, and then you can come down further, stay right here, or take those fingertips forward and really reach into your stretch. Drop your gaze a little bit so we're not cranking on the neck. Walk the hands back. They're gonna surround your front foot eventually. Maybe you have to heel toe it in a little bit. Curl the back toes. Coming into our high lunge, reach the arms up overhead. We're headed into our balancing. If we're not taking the balancing, eventually we'll step forward and stand in Tadasana. Otherwise, we're gonna twist to the left, hook the elbow, look forward, find that balance. And then if you're not in Tadasana, get there. And if you're coming all the way up, oh, my right foot dropped down, but that's okay. I'm gonna keep that right leg up and twist into Dancing Shiva, or I'm here in Tadasana, and this time I'll pick the right leg up and find that standing staff balance. And then we'll all unwind to Tadasana. Beautiful job. Take a nice inhale and exhale. Sweep the arms up overhead. Sink down into your chair. We're gonna keep going all the way down to the ground. Now maybe that's not good for some of your knees and we don't want to do that. In that case, we'll put our hands to the ground and step back. But some of us might have ended on our toes. Yeah. Well, either way. Yeah. We're heading all the way there, so if you've managed to get to the bum, that's perfect. All right, let's unwind ourselves. You know I'm gonna add some boat in there, because that's how I am, that's how I am. Okay. All right, we're all gonna start out with a boat that might look like this. Hands on the back of our thighs and our arms sort of squeezed in. Chest upright. Who's already working, right? We might stay right here for all of our boat work and have to come out and have to come back. Okay, maybe we're gonna find that balance and our toes will still stay down. Maybe the legs will come parallel. Maybe the arms will come off. Maybe the legs will straighten. There's somewhere to work in boat for anyone, including sitting up really straight and tall. How long should we make them hold that? Yeah, I like it. I like all the options. I like it all. Okay, let's give yourself a hug. Reach a little bit of a hug here. Yeah, in some way, shape, or form. Okay, we're coming back to that one more time. So you set yourself up wherever you need to be for your boat. And we're here for 10. Hold the chest up. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Good work. 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Let's bring our feet together in this Baddha Konasana stretch. I like to hold on to the big toe mounds and open my feet like a book. That helps my knees to come down a bit. And then again, we're gonna work to lengthen the spine. I really use my arms to help me get upright. And then lean forward, or maybe it looks more like a fold forward, just wherever you happen to be in your practice. Come back upright, bring the knees back together, and then let's lie down on the mat for some bridge work together. Let's get down there however we need to, right? Feet about hip width apart. Maybe you can graze your heels as they're on the mat, maybe, right? On an inhale, let's bring the hips nice and high in your bridge. Maybe you can wiggle your shoulder blades underneath your shoulders, keeping those hips nice and high, pulling the chin away from the chest. Stay up here for 5, 4, hip bones trying to reach the sky, 2, 1, and release. Take an inhale and an exhale.
Inhale, bring those hips nice and high again. Stay right here. Just drop the right hip slightly. The left hip still stays really high to the sky, so you're tilted. And then bring it back to center. Drop the left hip. So we're tilting back and forth, slow like this. Center, right dip, center, left dip, center, right dip, center. This is the last one. Left dip, back to center, and then release down. Take an inhale and an exhale. Option to raise the legs, so you might need your feet closer together, a little bit towards each other, towards midline. On an inhale, we'll bring the hips nice and high. This might be where you choose to stay, keeping those hip bones to the sky, or you might come up on or bring your right heel off the ground and even raise that right leg to the sky. Maybe, right? Now my right hip wants to dip down, so I'm gonna reach that right hip to the sky, right toes to the sky. We're only doing the right side this round. Maybe we can hold wherever we're at for another breath and then release and come down. Take a breath there. Inhale, bring both hips into the air. Become nice and stable. Maybe the left heel comes off the ground. That might be where you stay. Or maybe you bring the left leg into the sky and reach it up there. Try not to let the left hip drop down. We're here, we're breathing, working hard, and release with control. Bring your feet as wide as the mat, perhaps, and let your knees come in together. Take a couple breaths here. Last piece of core work. You can keep your knees pointing up and your feet on the ground as if you were setting up for bridge. Placing your fingertips behind your head. Inhale as you do a little crunch here to bring your face closer to your knees, and then release back down. You can keep your legs like that as you go back and forth, or if you choose, you can bring your feet off the ground, shins parallel, or toes pointing all the way to the sky. Shins parallel is a little bit harder. Back and forth at your own pace, but slow is better. I'm roughly keeping track of how many I'm doing. And then we'll all release back down to the ground. Release the legs if they're in the air. Take a long body stretch. Reach your arms way overhead and reach your feet towards me, opening up. Let's come up to seated. Maybe use a little momentum and come straight up, or maybe you turn onto your side so that you can come up a little bit more gently on your spine. Legs out straight. Let's take a forward fold here. So a little softening at the knees, good. Inhale, lengthen, and then let yourself fold over your legs to whatever distance that might be, right? Now that we're here, on your next inhale, I want you to look up towards me and lengthen your chest towards me. And then exhale and sink into that fold a little bit more. Let your head hang if you like. On your next inhale, look up towards me, lengthen your chest towards me, and then release. You don't always have to go further. That lengthening will take you a little further anyway. We're going to do that one more time. Inhale, look up towards me, lengthen towards me, and And then release as you exhale. Use your arms to help you come upright. And then bend the right knee. Remember this bind? Come back to this elbow bind behind your leg, or right. It could be that you're holding onto your wrist. We're gonna sit back and maybe play around with keeping that foot off the ground, pulling that knee in, and we will play around with how straight can we get it. Not all the way straight all the time, right? Got that nice tight bind, tight, long, nice long spine. Maybe your gaze up at your toes, pull the belly in. Maybe you keep leaning back and find that lift on the other leg. Woo, look at all of you. I'm impressed. Come back down and release. Because you know, I actually wasn't sure if I'd be doing that. Okay, we gotta wiggle that out for a moment. And then we'll bend the left side. Find that bind we've had in the past, holding on to elbows or hands. And then sit back, left foot will come off the ground first. I like to get this part first, kind of lock myself into this leg, and then see how much I need to lean back if I'm going to raise the right leg. You'll feel your core kick in, holding that balance. Breathe. Oh, I forgot to look up at my toes. Good. And land softly. Nice job, nice job. Okay, let's take a pigeon stretch. If you like pigeon lying down this way, then take your pigeon like this. Y'all know how to get into that. So if you like it that way, then let's do that. We can also, if you prefer, come down onto your back, knees bent, crossing a leg, and then hugging in. You can use your arms anywhere to hug in. We want to get a stretch in this right hip. We've done lots and lots of hip work, and some of us know where we like to do that best. Yes, yes, using that left leg to help, and hopefully you're getting a nice stretch. Now just breathe, 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 right? Breathe. Holding this a little length of time to allow your muscles to release. And then as you're ready, really slowly unwind. If you're on your back, maybe take a nice long body stretch. If you've been on your belly, you might sweep the opposite leg forward and give yourself a nice hug. And then find that same stretch on the other side. Remembering to spend a moment focusing on your breath, concentrating on your inhales and exhales. And then make your way out of your stretch, perhaps again a long body stretch if you're on your back. For those of you on your belly, you're eventually going to make your way onto your back, but take any movement or stretches you need in between. come into a spinal twist from here. So you might choose to do that by bringing your feet back on the mat as if you were going to come into bridge pose, but this time drop your knees over to the right. Or maybe you prefer to hug your knees into your chest a little bit and then drop them over to the right. That's just so that we're all going the same direction. We're going to work towards both shoulder blades being on the ground. You might like to open your arms like a T, or you might like to leave them connected to your body in some way. Take a deep, deep, full inhale. Really expand your lungs and maybe hold that at the top for just a moment. And then let that sigh out as you exhale. Begin to unwind. Set yourself up for rotating the other direction, making any adjustments you need so that you can be comfortable and settle in on this other side. Again, on this side, take a super deep, full inhale, holding it at the top for a moment, and then let it sigh out your mouth as you exhale. As you're ready, unwind, coming back to center, taking any other stretches or movements you might like before coming into your final resting posture of Shavasana. Now we all take this differently, right? Some of us might like to have our legs and arms straight, but let them be out a little bit and relax. Some of us might like to have knees bent, if that feels best to the spine, or hands pulled in. Make yourself really comfortable as possible. And then just enjoy that sunshine on your face today. It is 11 o'clock right now, so I'm going to thank you all for sharing your practice with me, but you can stay and rest another moment or more, right? Thank you all for joining